The SNES, otherwise known as the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, was the very first video game console I ever played. I remember when I was much younger, I was living in an apartment in Arizona with both my mother and sister. It was a late evening and my mom was trying to show my sister and I how to use Mario's cape to fly around in Super Mario World. I never got it right when I was younger, but I still loved that video game. I'd play it any opportunity I had, even if I wasn't too great at video games at the time. After a few years, we moved here to Oregon. We still played the Super Nintendo, but eventually it got packed away when my brother bought us a Nintendo 64. It was one of the original bundles that came with both a gray controller and the transparent purple controller as well. Along with that, he got us a copy of the new Tetris. Not really my favorite game, but I still played it. It was better than nothing, and we didn't plan on pulling out the Super Nintendo again afterwards. Though after a while, I gotta say, I began to miss it. After years of having a Nintendo 64 around the house, and eventually owning my own first console, the PlayStation 2, I missed my days of Super Mario World. I missed how simple it was, how beautiful sprites and music were harmonically combined with great gameplay to create one of the greatest games of all time. A few years later, I stumbled across something completely new to me. ZSNES, my first emulation software. I was blown away. I was playing Super Mario World on my PC. I didn't even know that was a thing. This was so awesome, I wondered how many people already knew about it. It didn't take long after that also that I learned Nintendo 64 emulation was coming right around the corner. It was back when Project 64 was in development and it was incredibly choppy to say the least. I didn't mind though, the concept alone of playing these games on my computer shadowed how poorly they performed. And this is me today. My name is Brian, and it's been well over a decade since I first started exploring emulators. As you all know, emulation has come a very far way since those days. We're starting to see systems like the Wii U, the PlayStation 3, and the Xbox 360 beginning to make huge leaps and bounds in emulation quality, while all the games we used to play are getting the high definition treatment and looking so much better than they did on original hardware. I've been able to go back to all those classic games using emulators, but I've reached far beyond just emulation. A couple years ago I started getting into modding video games, hacking into consoles and handhelds, and even began to customize my own hardware as well. Unlocking the potential of my systems became a heavy interest of mine, and now it's even bigger than it ever has been. Well, I told you what I'm interested in, and I told you what I do, so why am I here? Well, I was looking around YouTube one day and I began to realize something. I found onesie-twosie videos of people who showed off mods for Skyrim, how to hack video game systems, or maybe a countdown of homebrew titles you'd be interested in. But I couldn't find any kind of channel that focused not just on video games or handhelds or hardware, but also the custom mods you can apply to truly show off what they can do. And that's where I come in. I want to show you all how to get started into modding your own systems to run emulators, custom homebrew, and many other kinds of applications while making my tutorials accessible for first-timers. I also want to review, discuss, and share information about video games and hardware like other channels do, but I want to have a main focus on modding and emulation. Now that I've given you a basic idea of what I'll be doing around here, I already have the next few videos on my channel planned out. After those, we'll be diving headfirst into tutorials on modifying your favorite systems, but I want to hear some suggestions from all of you. Please leave a comment down below telling me what you'd like to see. Thanks for sticking around everybody, but it is time for me to go. You'll be hearing from me again soon to talk about some great topics and devices. If you want to follow along, go ahead and click the subscribe button down below. Oh, and from now on, call me Dr. Modalot.